When your CEO's icy sneer declares your life's work obsolete, you know the betrayal was planned long before the axe fell. Your methods are too traditional for our new direction, she explained during my termination. We need digital-first leadership. My name is Nathan Pierce, 52 years old. For 17 years, I ran the Southeast Sales Division of SilverLeaf Publishing in Atlanta, Georgia. I built that team from nothing, turning a struggling territory into the company's top revenue generator. I didn't use fancy software or algorithms, just relationships, handshakes, and knowing which publishers needed what. By last year, my division was bringing in 65% of the entire company's revenue. Not that anyone at the executive level seemed to notice, until the quarterly reports landed on their desks. When Claudia Harper took over as CEO 8 months ago, she arrived with PowerPoint presentations and consultants in expensive suits. Every meeting became about digital transformation and disrupting the traditional publishing model. She'd never worked in publishing before, came from some tech company in Seattle, but the board loved her vision. I kept my head down, kept delivering results, but I could feel her eyes on me during leadership meetings. I was the oldest director there, the only one who still kept a physical calendar and visited clients in person instead of scheduling Zoom calls. The night before my termination, Ethan, my assistant director, pulled me aside after a meeting. "Claudia's gunning for you, Nathan," he whispered, his voice tense. "She told me you're a dinosaur holding back progress. I tried to defend you, but she shut me down." My stomach churned. "Why didn't you warn me sooner?" He looked away, guilty. "She threatened to fire me if I talked. I'm sorry." I gripped his arm. "Stay sharp, Ethan. She's playing us both." The summons came on a Friday morning. Her assistant, Ryan, looked uncomfortable when he appeared at my office door. "She'd like to see you at 3 in the executive boardroom." I thanked him and returned to my call with Sterling Books, our biggest client. We were finalizing a 6-year contract extension worth $15 million, 0 cents. The kind of deal that happened because I'd had dinner with Margaret Sterling every quarter for a decade. The boardroom had been redesigned since Claudia arrived. Glass walls, minimalist furniture, a massive digital display where the traditional conference table used to be. 3 people waited: Claudia, Ryan, and someone from Human Resources I didn't recognize. I knew before she spoke. "Nathan, thank you for everything you've done for SilverLeaf," she began, hands clasped on the table. "But we've decided to move in a different direction with leadership." I listened quietly as she explained how my methods were outdated, how they needed someone more aligned with their digital-first approach, someone younger, though she carefully avoided saying that part out loud. I thanked her for the opportunity, shook her hand, and walked out without arguing. 17 years ended in a 12-minute meeting. As I left the boardroom, Claudia's voice followed me. "Don't make this messy, Nathan," she said coldly. "Sign the severance and disappear, or we'll make sure you regret it." I turned, meeting her gaze. "You're burning down what I built, Claudia. Good luck with the ashes." Her smirk faltered, but she said nothing. What Claudia didn't understand was that in publishing, especially with the old established houses that made up 85% of our business, trust wasn't built through algorithms or email campaigns. I cleared out my desk while the rest of the team was at lunch. No goodbyes, no scene, just quiet dignity. But when I got to my car, I sat there for a long time staring at my phone. 4 missed calls from Margaret Sterling. She'd heard already. I started at SilverLeaf back when it was still called Southern Literary Associates. Small operation then, just 25 employees and a handful of regional clients. I'd come from Legacy Press after they were bought out by one of the big Chicago houses. I'd walked away from a corner office and a high 6-figure salary because I hated what corporate publishing was doing to the industry. Edward Silverleaf hired me personally. "We don't need someone who can crunch numbers," he'd said. "We need someone who understands that books are still made by people who care about what's between the covers." For the first 6 years, I rebuilt the division from scratch. Put 80,000 miles on my car visiting every independent publisher between Florida and Tennessee. I knew the names of their spouses, their kids. I went to weddings, funerals, retirement parties, not because it was strategic, because that's who we were. By the time Edward retired and his daughter Sophia took over, We'd grown 450%. Sophia understood the business even if she was more interested in the numbers than her father had been. She left me alone to run things my way. 3 months ago, I challenged Claudia in a board meeting. "Your digital obsession is alienating our core clients," I said, pointing to her CRM rollout plan. She laughed, dismissive. "Nathan, your handshakes are quaint, but data drives revenue." I stood my ground. "Lose trust and you lose everything." She leaned forward, eyes glinting. "Keep resisting, Pierce, and you'll be out of a job." The room went silent, but Ethan gave me a subtle nod. 4 years ago, when the board started talking about bringing in outside leadership to modernize operations, Sophia fought them. But when cancer took her last year at 55, there was no one left to defend the old ways. The cracks started appearing before Claudia was even hired. Board meetings where the word antiquated kept coming up. Questions about why our team hadn't leveraged social media or implemented CRM. Ethan started getting invitations to strategy meetings I wasn't included in. He'd report back, uncomfortable with his new position as messenger. "They're talking about restructuring," he'd told me 8 months ago, "creating a digital sales team separate from traditional channels." I should have seen it coming, should have noticed when they hired 4 new digital engagement specialists and put them on my team without consulting me, or when they started reassigning my long-term clients to the new team without explanation. Margaret Sterling had called me personally when they took her account away from me. "Some kid called me today," she'd said, "told me he was my new account manager, said they were streamlining their customer interface or some nonsense. What's going on over there, Nathan?" "Just some reorganization," I told her. "Nothing to worry about." But I was worried. I just didn't know how to fight a battle when I didn't understand the weapons being used against me. The night of my firing, Ellen, my wife, saw my face and knew. "They betrayed you, didn't they?" she said, her voice shaking with anger. "After everything you gave them?" I nodded, throat tight. "Claudia's destroying it all." Ellen grabbed my hand. "Then fight back, Nathan. Show them what you're worth." Her words lit a spark I hadn't felt in years. The day after my termination, I sat in my home office staring at my phone. 19 missed calls, 38 text messages, 7 emails marked urgent, all from clients and industry contacts who'd heard the news. I hadn't told anyone yet, not even Ellen, who was visiting our son in Savannah. I wanted to process it alone first. The call that finally made me pick up came from Margaret Sterling. "What the hell happened?" she demanded, skipping any greeting. "They're going in a new direction," I said, repeating the corporate line. Margaret spat. "You are that company to most of us. Do they understand that?" I didn't answer. "I met with that new guy yesterday," she continued. "Evan something. Spent 45 minutes showing me analytics and engagement metrics. Not once did he ask about our new mystery novel imprint. The one I told you was make or break for us this year." I closed my eyes, suddenly tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. "They'll figure it out, Margaret." "No, they won't," she replied, "because people like that never bothered to learn what matters. They just impose their system and expect everyone to adapt." Margaret's voice sharpened. "Claudia called me, Nathan, offered a discount to stay. I told her I'd rather burn my catalog than work with her. We're with you, wherever you go." After we hung up, I opened my laptop and looked at the email SilverLeaf HR had sent with my severance details. 8 months pay, health insurance for 120 days, a non-disparagement clause, and a non-compete that prevented me from working with any of their clients for 18 months. I nearly laughed. They thought they could legally prevent decades-old relationships from continuing with a single document. My phone buzzed again. Victoria Ramsey from Willow Creek Press this time. Another major client, another friendship built over years of trust. "I heard what happened," she said when I answered. "It's their loss. When you're ready to talk about what's next, call me." Victoria didn't mince words. "Claudia's team is a disaster, Nathan. They're alienating everyone. Start something new and I'll back you, whatever it takes." By evening, I'd heard from 14 major clients representing over 45% of SilverLeaf's annual revenue, all expressing the same sentiment: loyalty to me, not to the company I'd no longer be part of. I sat in my backyard as the sun set, nursing a whiskey and turning over an idea that had started as a tiny seed that morning but had grown with each conversation. They'd discarded me because my methods didn't fit their shiny new digital strategy, because I built relationships instead of analyzing data, because my client book was filled with handwritten notes instead of CRM entries. But what if those outdated methods were exactly what those clients valued? What if the very thing Claudia Harper saw as my weakness was actually my greatest strength? I pulled out my phone and made a call to my attorney, Samuel Carter. "Sam, I need you to look at something for me. A non-compete clause." "They let you go?" he asked, surprised. "They did, and I think it might be the best thing that's ever happened to me." Samuel's voice crackled with excitement. "Claudia's made a fatal mistake, Nathan. Let's tear that non-compete apart and build something she can't touch." I didn't want revenge. I just wanted to keep doing what I'd always done, helping publishers connect with the right partners. And if SilverLeaf no longer valued that service, there were plenty of others who did. That night, for the first time since the termination meeting, I slept soundly. 3 weeks after my termination, I met with Samuel in his downtown office. He'd reviewed my non-compete agreement and had news I didn't expect. "It's essentially unenforceable," he said, sliding the document across his desk. "They made a crucial mistake. The scope is too broad, the duration too long, and most importantly, they can't prevent you from using general knowledge and skills in your industry." "So I could start my own consulting firm?" I asked. "You could," Samuel nodded. "But there's a catch. They'll still sue you if you try. Even if they ultimately lose, they can make the process expensive and painful." I considered this. SilverLeaf had deep pockets and a board that wouldn't hesitate to use them against a perceived threat. "What if I don't approach any clients directly?" I asked. "What if I just become available?" Samuel smiled. "That's a different story entirely." Samuel leaned forward. "Claudia's watching you like a hawk, Nathan. Move smart and you'll bury her without firing a shot." The next day, I filed paperwork to establish Pierce Publishing Consultants. No website, no marketing materials, no outreach campaign, just a legal entity that could accept payments and provide services. 4 days later, Margaret Sterling called me. "I hear you've set up shop," she said without preamble. "News travels fast," I replied, "in this business. Like wildfire. Listen, I need help with our spring catalog strategy. SilverLeaf's new team is pushing us toward niche markets, but my instinct says we should double down on our mystery series. I need someone who understands both the numbers and the readers." "I'm still figuring out my next steps, Margaret." $20,000, 0 cents for 3 months of strategic guidance, she countered. "No direct competition with SilverLeaf services, just helping us make good decisions." It was a generous offer and carefully structured to avoid direct conflict with my non-compete. But still, I hesitated. "I need to think about it." Margaret's tone turned fierce. "Don't let Claudia scare you, Nathan. She's losing control, and we're ready to follow you. Say yes." "Don't think too long," Margaret said. "We're making decisions next week." After hanging up, I received an unexpected call from Ethan. "Can we meet?" he asked, his voice hushed. "Not at the office, someplace quiet." We agreed on a small coffee shop near Piedmont Park, well away from downtown and the publishing scene. Ethan looked nervous when he arrived, constantly checking over his shoulder. "It's bad," he said once we'd secured a corner table. "They promoted me to your position, but I'm just a figurehead. All the real decisions are coming from the new digital team." "That's not surprising," I replied. "No, you don't understand. They're systematically dismantling everything you built. They've reassigned all your major accounts to the digital team. They're implementing a mandatory CRM system that none of the older sales reps can navigate. 4 people have quit already." I took a sip of my coffee, keeping my expression neutral. "And the clients?" I asked. Ethan glanced around again before leaning in. "They're furious. Willow Creek is threatening to walk. Margaret Sterling hasn't returned calls in a week. The quarterly projections are catastrophic. And Claudia's blaming the transition, saying it's expected turbulence." He hesitated. "But there's more. They're watching you. Legal had a meeting about your non-compete yesterday. They're concerned you might poach clients." Now I understood his paranoia. He was risking his new position to warn me. "Thanks for telling me this, Ethan." He nodded, then slid an envelope across the table. "Client contact list, updated with personal emails and cell numbers." He stood to leave. "I didn't give you this and we never met today." Ethan grabbed my wrist before leaving. "Claudia's spreading lies, Nathan. Says you're sabotaging her." "I'm scared I'm next. Help me." I met his eyes. "Stay strong, Ethan. I've got a plan. You're not alone." After he left, I sat for a long time, turning the envelope over in my hands. Using this information would be exactly what SilverLeaf feared and expected. It would justify legal action against me, possibly even against Ethan. They'd set a trap, anticipating my next move, which meant I needed to make a different one entirely. I left the envelope on the table, untouched, when I walked out. A month passed. I hadn't contacted any SilverLeaf clients despite daily calls from publishers asking for help. I deflected politely, citing professional considerations. The non-compete might be flawed, but I wasn't ready to test its limits. Instead, I focused on industry contacts outside SilverLeaf's client list. Small independent publishers, university presses, literary agents looking for guidance as honest insights into forestry. Work that wouldn't trigger legal issues but would keep me engaged in the field I loved. Then came the invitation I hadn't expected. Charles Montgomery, chairman of SilverLeaf's board, asked to meet privately, not at the office, at his club downtown. I accepted out of curiosity more than anything else. The Atlanta Executive Club was all dark wood and whispered conversations. Charles, 72 and white-hailed, waited in a private room with 2 tumblers of bourbon already poured. "Thank you for coming, Nathan," he said, gesturing to the chair opposite his. "I imagine you're wondering why I wanted to meet." The thought crossed my mind. He pushed one of the glasses toward me. "Things at SilverLeaf aren't going as expected." I took a small sip, saying nothing. "Revenue is down 42% this quarter," Charles continued. "Client retention has fallen to its lowest point in company history. The digital initiative that was supposed to transform our business model has instead alienated our core client base." "That's unfortunate," I replied neutrally. Charles studied me. "You don't seem surprised. Publishing is a relationship business, always has been. So, I'm learning." He leaned forward. "The board is concerned about Claudia's leadership. Her strategies may have worked in tech, but publishing operates differently." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because we'd like you to come back as Chief Revenue Officer, above Claudia in the hierarchy." Charles's voice dropped. "Claudia's out of control, Nathan. She's tanking us. Come back, and we'll give you the power to crush her." I raised an eyebrow. "You let her fire me, Charles. Why should I trust you now?" He flinched. "We were wrong. Fix this and you'll have everything you want." I stared at him, processing the offer. "What about my replacement? Ethan's a good man, but he doesn't have your client relationships or industry knowledge. And Claudia? She'd accept this arrangement?" Charles's expression hardened. She would have no choice. The pieces suddenly fit together. "This isn't about this quarter's revenue, is it? This has been building for longer." Charles sighed, the facade cracking. "Claudia was Sophia's hire, her last major decision before her illness became unmanageable. The board had reservations, but we deferred to her out of respect. After she passed, we gave Claudia the opportunity to prove herself. She hasn't, and my termination was not approved by the board. We were informed after the fact, as were several other significant organizational changes." I sat back, understanding the full picture. Claudia had been clearing out Sophia's people, replacing them with her own. My dismissal wasn't about digital histology to the previous leadership. "The offer is generous," Charles continued. "Triple your previous salary, full control of sales and client relationships, and the board's full backing to rebuild your team. It was everything I should have wanted. Vindication, power, security." "I need time to consider," I said. Charles's tone turned sharp. "Don't play games, Nathan. Claudia's circling the wagons. Accept now, or you're on your own against her." I stood. "I've survived worse than Claudia. I'll let you know." "Of course, but don't take too long. The situation is deteriorating rapidly." On the drive home, I turned the conversation over in my mind. The board hadn't just realized they'd made a mistake with my termination. They'd known it was wrong from the beginning, but had lacked the courage to stop it. Now that it was affecting their bottom line, suddenly they wanted me back? And there was something else, something Charles hadn't said explicitly, but I'd understood anyway. They wanted me to be the hatchet man, to come back and dismantle everything Claudia had built, and eventually Claudia herself. They didn't want me for my relationship skills. They wanted me for my client list and the loyalty that came with it. The realization didn't make me angry, it made me certain about what I needed to do next. I declined Charles's offer the next morning with a brief, polite email. His response came within minutes, an offer to increase the compensation package further. I didn't reply. Instead, I made 3 phone calls. The first was to Margaret Sterling. "I'm ready to discuss that consulting arrangement," I told her, "but I'd like to suggest a different approach." "I'm listening," she said. "I won't consult exclusively for Sterling Books. Instead, I'm forming a collective, a consortium of independent publishers who share resources, distribution channels, and market intelligence. No long-term contracts, no corporate bureaucracy, just publishers helping publishers, with me facilitating the connections." There was silence on the line. Then, "How many others have you approached?" "None yet, you're the first call." "Because I was your biggest client?" "Because I trust your judgment," I corrected. "If you think it's a viable model, I'll move forward. If not, I'll stick to traditional consulting." Margaret didn't hesitate. "I'm in, and I know at least 6 others who would be too." Margaret's voice surged with defiance. "Let's build something Claudia can't touch, Nathan. She'll choke on her own arrogance." My second call was to Victoria Ramsey at Willow Creek Press. As I expected, she not only embraced the consortium idea, but suggested refinements to the structure, including a shared digital platform that would give the smaller publishers the reach of a larger organization without sacrificing their independence. Victoria laughed bitterly. "Claudia's team sent me a generic email pitch yesterday. They don't even know my catalog. I'm ready to bury them with you." The third call was to Samuel, my attorney, to ensure the plan wouldn't violate my non-compete agreement. "You're not working for their clients," he confirmed after hearing the details. "You're creating an entirely new entity that their clients choose to join. It's a subtle distinction, but a legally meaningful one." Samuel added, "Claudia's on thin ice, Nathan. I've got contacts saying the board's ready to oust her. Your consortium's the final nail." Within 3 weeks, Pierce Publishing Consortium had 8 founding members, all former SilverLeaf clients who had either already left or were planning to when their contracts expired. Each contributed to an operational fund that would cover my salary and the basic infrastructure needed. The key to the plan wasn't just building a competing organization, it was creating something SilverLeaf couldn't easily replicate, a cooperative structure where publishers maintain their independence while gaining the benefits of collective resources. No one appointed me CEO or gave me a fancy title. I was simply the facilitator, the connector, who understood what each member needed and who could provide it. We rented a modest office space in Decatur, away from the downtown business district where SilverLeaf and other corporate publishers clustered. I hired 2 staff members, a recent college graduate to handle communications and social media, and a veteran publishing operations manager who had recently retired but wasn't ready to stop working entirely. Word spread quickly through the close-knit publishing community. By the end of the first month, 4 more publishers had joined the consortium. By the end of the second, we had to expand to larger offices. I was careful never to directly solicit SilverLeaf's clients. I didn't need to. They came to us, drawn by the success stories they were hearing and the frustrations they were experiencing with the digital-first approach that ignored the personal relationships at the heart of publishing. Ethan called one evening in late November, 3 months after we'd launched. "They know what you're doing," he said without preamble. "Claudia's furious. She's talking about legal action." "We haven't violated any agreements," I replied calmly. "That won't stop her from trying." He paused. "There's a board meeting tomorrow. Quarterly results. It's going to be ugly." "That's not my concern anymore, Ethan." "I know," he hesitated. "I thought you should know, and I wanted to ask, is there room for one more at your new venture? I've reached my breaking point here." Ethan's voice broke. "Claudia's blaming me for the losses, Nathan. She's setting me up to take the fall. I need out." I softened. "Your family, Ethan. Come to the office tomorrow. We'll make it right." I smiled to myself. Everything was proceeding exactly as I'd anticipated. Not because I was seeking revenge, but because I understood the industry in a way Claudia never would. "Come by the office tomorrow," I told him. "We'll talk." The quarterly earnings call in December told the story. Numbers never lie about. SilverLeaf Publishing reported a 50% drop in revenue compared to the same quarter the previous year. Their stock dropped 20% in a single day. I didn't listen to the call myself. I was in a strategy meeting with 18 consortium members planning our collective approach to the upcoming industry conference in Miami. But Margaret texted me the highlights. Claudia blaming market disruption and transitional challenges. No mention of the elephant in the room that their biggest clients jumped ship. Later that afternoon, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. "Is this Nathan Pierce?" a woman's voice asked, speaking. "This is Lillian Brooks from the SilverLeaf Board of Directors." Her tone was clipped, formal. "I'm calling to inform you that we've voted to waive your non-compete agreement effective immediately. We've also authorized our legal team to prepare a cease and desist regarding what we consider to be interference with our client relationships." I waited, letting the silence stretch. "Do you have any response, Mr. Pierce?" "Just one question," I said finally. "Have you spoken with your clients directly?" "Not through account managers or satisfaction surveys. Actually sat down with Margaret Sterling or Victoria Ramsey and asked why they left?" "That's not relevant to—" "It's the only thing that's relevant," I interrupted. "They didn't leave because I started something new. They left because SilverLeaf stopped valuing what mattered to them." Lillian's voice trembled with rage. "You're a traitor, Pierce. We'll bury you in court." I chuckled. "Try it, Lillian. You'll only bury yourselves faster." "The board meeting is still in session," she said after a moment. "Perhaps you'd care to join us and explain your perspective directly." "I appreciate the invitation, but I'm in the middle of my own meeting, with 18 publishers who've chosen a different path." She was silent for so long I thought the call had dropped. "I see," she said finally, and hung up. That night, Claudia emailed me directly, her tone venomous. "You think you've won, Nathan? I'll make sure every publisher knows you're a backstabbing relic. Your little consortium's dead before it starts." I didn't reply. Her desperation only fueled my resolve. The cease and desist never arrived. 4 days later, the business section of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution ran the headline, "SilverLeaf CEO Steps Down Amid Financial Turbulence." 7 months after starting the Pierce Publishing Consortium, we moved into permanent offices in a renovated warehouse in East Atlanta. 26 member publishers now, with a waiting list of others wanting to join. We'd expanded beyond Georgia to include small and mid-sized publishers throughout the Southeast. The industry had taken notice. We'd been featured in Publishers Weekly and the Wall Street Journal business section. "The relationship revolution in publishing," one headline called it. I hadn't set out to create a movement, just to preserve what I knew worked. But sometimes the old ways become revolutionary again when people remember why they mattered in the first place. Charles Montgomery called on a Thursday morning. SilverLeaf had a new CEO now, promoted from within, someone who'd been with the company for decades. "We'd like to discuss the possibility of SilverLeaf joining your consortium," he said, no preamble. I smiled to myself. "That's not how it works, Charles. We're not acquiring members of your size." "Perhaps a partnership arrangement, then?" "I'll bring it to our leadership council," I told him, though I already knew what the answer would be. The publishers who joined us had done so precisely to escape the corporate approach SilverLeaf represented. Charles's voice cracked. "Nathan, we're bleeding. Claudia's legacy is a disaster. Help us, or SilverLeaf's finished." I stayed firm. "You made your choice, Charles. Now live with it." After hanging up, I walked through our open office space. No executive suite for me, just a desk among the others, where I could be part of the daily conversations that kept us connected to what mattered. Ethan looked up from his workstation. "Everything okay?" "Just fine," I nodded. "SilverLeaf wants to join the consortium." He laughed. "Talk about coming full circle." Later that afternoon, I drove to Piedmont Park and sat by the water, the same spot where I used to come and think when problems at SilverLeaf seemed overwhelming. But today, there were no problems to solve. Just a quiet satisfaction in knowing that what I'd built would last. Not because it was revolutionary or disruptive, but because it was built on something that never really changes. People trusting people who've earned it. Sometimes getting fired is the best thing that can happen to you, not because it leads to revenge, but because it forces you to build something more authentic than what you left behind.